Hey everyone, Kathy the Vegan Prepper here, and today we're just doing a very simple chat video. Let's go ahead and get right into it. Do-do-do, do-do-do, vegan prepper. Do-do-do, do-do-do, vegan prepper. All right, so it is early July, specifically July 3rd, 2024 when I'm filming this, just to give everybody kind of context in case you're watching it super far in the future. And so we are definitely sliding right into the intense part of our Phoenix summer here. And I know Arizonans can get very dramatic about their summers, and so that's not what I'm about to do. But to be fair, can y'all agree with me? Our summers are a bit dramatic. They just are, okay? And so people talk about it because people love to complain about things that are difficult. So I feel like every region, people will complain about something, like whatever kind of iconic difficulty is in that region, people talk about that all of the time. And so for us here in Phoenix and Arizona, it is the heat. That's what it is. Anyway, so we are beginning to act a bit like hibernating animals in that we are staying inside for the most part, although once a week we are getting out to go swimming. And so also we go grocery shopping and do the things that we have to do. We try as hard as we can to do everything as early in the morning as possible and then get right back inside. And so that's kind of our reality right now. My garden is going really well. Thank God Adam has the whole thing set up on a drip system this year. And so I feel super guilty like standing looking out of my garden from my bedroom because we have had to move the garden, and now the garden is actually directly in front of my bedroom windows, and so I can just sort of sit there in the AC looking through the glass at my little plants, drinking an icy drink like, how y'all doing? Still good? Okay, bye. And that's basically it. That's all of the interaction that I have to have with my plants right now. I feel a little bad about it, but no, I'm going out occasionally to see, obviously, weeding and still taking care of some things, but it's just really nice to not have to go outside every single day to water 2 or 3 times a day during these super hot times. And so here's a hot tip though for anybody who is working in the heat in a garden and you're having to pump a lot of water into your garden, especially in super crazy hot, dry conditions like we have here in the Phoenix area. Granted, you have to do your own sleuthing and figure out for your own area, but sometimes your plants can kind of start getting yellow and the leaves can even almost start drooping a little bit. And so a lot of the advice out there says, oh, you're overwatering. Back off on watering. But actually a lot of times what's happening is because of how much water is coming through, you're actually flushing nutrients out of your soil as you water. And so it's important to be replenishing nutrients. And so that actually just happened to one of my pepper plants. I saw it and I recognized, oh, it's being flushed. For some reason, this one's getting flushed like more than the other ones. And so we went outside. What I usually do is I take worm castings and we just take handfuls of worm castings and sort of gently dig it into the soil around the base of the plant. And that becomes our putting nutrients back into the soil. I'm like, what word was I trying to think of? I think I might have been trying to think of a word that does not exist. And so putting nutrients back into the soil, and then the plants begin to perk right up, which is within a day or two. Like the drip system is putting all of that right back into the soil. So that's happening at least once every 2 weeks, ideally preventatively more like once every week, specifically during this season where a lot of water is going into the soil in order to keep those things alive. But what's great is now that the plants are getting bigger, it's a little less of it is required because as they get larger and they're shading, everything gets better. So I've got eggplants out there right now. There's a couple of them I can see again from my bedroom window with my icy drink. I can see them. So I need to go out there and check them. I'm probably going to be harvesting 2 eggplants today and just sort of poke around, look at the plants. I've also got a whole bunch of hot peppers. Okra's coming up, but it hasn't flowered yet. I've got Armenian cucumbers and my perennial stand of Egyptian walking onions, which is just out of hand. I need to thin that thing down really bad. I have a tomato plant that's been growing since last year. And so we're going to see, I got a nice harvest of tomatoes this last fall. We'll see if it makes it through another summer and if I'll get another harvest. Like, I'm just kind of curious to see how long this thing is going to last. It is right smack dab in the middle of that patch of Egyptian walking onions. And so they are protecting that tomato plant, I believe, and that's one of the main reasons that it's surviving. And so I also have a kale plant that is going on its third year. They're supposed to be biennials. We've chopped that thing back and it is still putting off leaves. The funny thing too about it is that underneath the Armenian cucumbers, I've got kale seedlings coming up underneath the foliage of my Armenian cucumbers. And those things too, I'm kind of like, y'all are not supposed to be coming up until September or October, but you know, we're just going to see if they make it. And if they produce kale plants, who am I to judge? Like, you can try, like I'm, you know, but if it starts bolting, what I'll probably end up doing is just pull the plants and then just dig them right back into the soil where they were popped up. But yeah, I'm going to see if those guys make it. I'm rooting for them. Like, I'm rooting for you. Like, this is kind of amazing. So I can't wait to see if all that comes up. I have just put in Hibiscus sabdariffa. It's Jamaican sorrel, to hopefully get several big bushes of that, to get a ton of hibiscus for making Adam's favorite jam on this earth, sorrel jam. And then also for having hibiscus on hand for making teas that are safe for my family to consume, because most bulk hibiscus, when you purchase it and you look at it on a label, it will say that it was intercropped with peanuts, and it will have a warning that it might contain peanuts or have shells of peanuts in the hibiscus. Many of them do, because where the Hibiscus sabdariffa is grown, often I think in Thailand and some other places, they are intercropped with peanuts. And so, yeah, it's a warning. And so when you have a son who is allergic to peanuts, these are the things that, you know, concern you. So I grow Hibiscus sabdariffa as much as possible to get my own hibiscus. Interestingly enough, hibiscus, I think I've said it a million times before, but I'll say it again. And at some point I have video of it too, like way back in the archives, that it's hibiscus tea is not made from the flowers. Mistakenly, people will say it's the hibiscus flowers. It's not. It's the calyx that's left behind, almost more like a rose hip. If you think of it like that, if you know what rose hips are, that, you know, the flower forms and then a seed pod forms, like a sour little fruit, and a seed pod forms at the base of where the flower was. That's what a rose hip is. And then that's also what the calyx is on the Hibiscus sabdariffa. And it's that red fruit calyx that's left behind is what the tea is made out of. You discard or leave the seed pod behind, compost it or save the seeds or whatever. Save the hibiscus, the petals of the calyx, and that's what the hibiscus tea is made out of. Anyway, growing that. The leaves are also deliciously tart, and I love chopping those up and adding them to stir fries and putting them in salads as well. So the leaves are edible, interestingly enough. Also, oftentimes when this plant is cultivated, it isn't even cultivated for the calyxes, it's cultivated for the leaves, and it makes some traditional dishes where it is grown. I'm pretty sure it's Thailand. That might not be correct. You can look it up if you are interested in such things. All right, I will move on from all of that and sort of give a little bit of a life update. Interestingly enough, there's a little bit of a curveball. I had plans set in motion and they might not be the same. So that's interesting. Like as of yesterday. So this is really interesting right now. So I was all set to go to school in the fall. I'm going for a clinical herbalism program to hopefully, you know, begin to start being an herbalist, like for real. And there is no official certification or diploma recognized by any body really in the United States for herbalism. And so there's a lot of schools out there that try to trick people into signing up that they will be a certified herbalist, like when they're done with the program. I think that, gosh, there's one in particular. I'm mad enough at them and their advertising that I will put their name on the screen. I normally try not to call it out, but I'm going to call this one out. I'm going to put it on the screen as soon. It's like the School of Forgotten Ways or like School of something. Anyway, I'm really mad at that one. The curriculum may be okay, but they advertise way too heavily on this diploma certification nonsense, and none of that actually matters in the United States. It is not worth anything more than the paper that it is printed on. And so the only thing that is really close to a recognition of herbalism and study is with the American Herbalists Guild. You can be RHAHG. You can have that after your name, and that means Registered Herbalist, American Herbalist Guild. It's a very intensive process to go through in order to be registered as an herbalist with the American Herbalist Guild. And so this college is local. It has an incredible program. It's a very intense program. It used to be accredited. They used to offer an associate's degree program in herbalism. They no longer offer the associate's degree, but it's the same program. And it's an associate's degree level program, which typically takes 2 years, and it's going to be done in 14 months. So it's a bit intense, and I'm going to hopefully start that in the fall, maybe, because now I'm almost completely through the application process, but I haven't quite turned it in yet. And so classes don't start until October. So I have some time. But just yesterday, we found out at Adam's work, and I'm going to try really hard not to talk too much about it because I keep sharing, I think, too many details. I've done this take a million times because I keep talking of too much at this point. Suffice to say, we just found out that Adam's work is dramatically changing the hours of their shop. So he works as an assistant service manager in a dealership, I will say. He works as management and service. For over 20 years, he was a tech in his field, and he moved up in the last couple of years and became an assistant service manager in service. And so they have dramatically altered the hours of his place of business. This is the part where I would keep oversharing. I'm going to just stop there, and maybe we'll do a couple chat. And if he wants to share more, he can share more. And then it went down slightly dramatically, and that's all I'm going to say. That's all I'm saying. Shush, Kathy, stop it. Okay. So basically that he would have, he'd be working later in the morning to later at night and Saturdays from now on because of the way the hours of the shop are changing, which is not going to work with my schooling coming up, because I will have Saturday things, especially partway through the program. An intensive will begin where I'm taking the, I forget what it's called. It's like the floral and fauna intensive, where basically almost every weekend we're doing road trips. So I live in the Phoenix area. We'll be driving down to like Tucson and Yuma. We'll be driving up to Prescott, Flagstaff, Grand Canyon area, to basically observe the plants in their natural habitats and to learn the different desert plants. Also, some of them will not necessarily be that far. Some of them will be locally, like to some Phoenix nature preserves that have the desert plants, and I can learn about all of these wonderful desert plants that we have around here, like chaparral and many others, and some of their medicinal uses and how to recognize them in the wild and all of that. But you're going to be going out and learning in the wild where the plants are. And so I'd be gone for some of my Saturdays. And we just can't do that. He has to be home to watch Sage. And also with him working later, when on earth is he going to see her? So there's it's upheaval right now because we only just found this out yesterday. And logistically speaking, I can't move. And he's the one saying it. We can't really move forward with my schooling until his job situation gets worked out. But if he gets a new job, would I even still be here to take this course? Or not this course, it's much more than one course. Like I said, it's a 2-year program that is condensed into 14 months. Multiple classes. It's not just one course. And so I need to take a program somewhere else if we end up having to move and stuff like that. So this is all very up in the air, and I'm not sure what's going on or what's going down. So that's kind of an interesting thing that just happened yesterday, and we are going to keep an eye on it and move forward and figure it out. So anyway, it's very interesting. That's kind of the big thing that's going on. All things staying the same. My younger son just graduated high school. He should be starting college in the fall. And my younger daughter is starting first grade. Or my young daughter, she's my youngest. She's starting first grade. And so that's my interesting thing. So I have, my oldest son is starting law school in Washington, D.C. My younger son is starting college locally this fall. My daughter is starting first grade. And then I am starting college this fall as well. Like all of us are supposed to be doing all of these awesome new beginning type things. And so this is really interesting, the job thing. So we'll see how it all goes, but yeah, it'll be cool. I don't know, it'll be fun. As always, you know, it'll be fine. We'll just sort of see what happens when it happens and keep moving forward no matter what. And that's just kind of the way that we go. That's the way that we roll, and that's how we do things. And that would be hilarious. I would laugh a little bit. It's that whole thing, right? Like man makes plans and God laughs. It's like we throw the wrench in and like we end up getting he gets some new position for the first time in forever, and we end up having to move in this market and all that. So that will be interesting. Anyway, that's it. So that's it for like life update stuff. And yeah, I just wanted to do a chat video too. And I don't know how many people are going to watch or care. So leave me, I don't know, some kind of heart in the comment, whatever your favorite color heart is in the comment. If you're here and you're still watching, so that I could know that you like kind of made it through all that stuff. So it's really interesting though, because I was already planning on doing a chat video, but it's so funny that the larger the subscriber base goes, the more of a block I feel towards creating content. This is why I'm forcing myself to just create a chat video for you today. Because I consider this as a silly video. This is not a real video. In my mind, a real video is one that has some sort of, you know, edited educational content or whatever, you know, like a recipe video or, you know, something like that. But it's like this stuff is valuable too. I know it is. And there's people that care. And so I'll stay here. I'll share with you guys about the stuff going down in life. And so I'm going to do it. I'm going to just make a chat video. I already caught myself this afternoon because of the next thing I was going to talk to you about. I was like, oh, I should just make a video. Like we can skip all the personal stuff and just make a video about this thing. And then I was already starting to outline it and almost script it a little bit and get pressure. And then I was like, wait, but I can set this up. Oh, I could set up this shot and I can set up that shot and but like, I don't have time for that. And so then this is yet another video that would not get made. And so I decided to just sit and to make the chat video. So hopefully you guys are enjoying it. But what I really wanted to talk about, and I think I will actually do a real video and an update, but it still might be a kind of a chat focused, kind of more of a chat style, is talking again about the financial power of buying in bulk and cooking from scratch. And so I think I want to make an update video to the video that I made, you know, years ago. It's still to this day, it's one of my most watched videos. And so it's been a great video. I think it has a lot of really good stuff in it. But just sort of to reiterate that, especially with what people are going through now, to be able to talk about that, because we already kind of have, we have been living that way for quite a while, and we kind of already had that infrastructure in place for ourselves, you know, that's the way that we're doing things. And so it's been really interesting, sad. I have huge amounts of compassion for people really struggling right now with their groceries and whatnot. But I will say that it has been interesting to me to see that our personal grocery bills have not really gone up that much over the last couple of years. And there's a lot of people who are complaining about, you know, like it's almost like world-ending level of financial stress surrounding just buying groceries to feed their families. And that breaks my heart. And that's another reason why I kind of want to make another one of the videos really talking about it, to hopefully give some people some insight. One of the major things that does help us, I believe, is the fact that we are vegan. So we're not purchasing meat and dairy and eggs. I think those things have gone up astronomically compared to what they were before. But see, like I've been vegan almost 7 years now, so I don't even really know what the prices were like a few years ago. But, you know, it's kind of all of that. It makes sense, right? Because everything is more expensive on every level. So the feed is more expensive for the animals. And so then, you know, everything gets just kind of exponentially more expensive. And then by the time you get to the finished product, it costs farmers so much more to produce that, the animal product specifically. that those things go up really high. Whereas for, you know, little me, just purchasing my beans and my grains in bulk, you know, like my bag of organic beans, you know, a few years ago, it was, you know, $39 or $40. Now the same bag of beans is like $44. So things have gone up, but we're talking about a 25-pound bag of beans has maybe gone up $4 for me. And so that still represents a huge amount of food. So that $4 spread out over how many servings is in that bag, right? It doesn't amount to a huge increase in price for me. And so that's another thing. Like, so I've just sort of been observing that and recognizing, you know, being able to cook from scratch, and especially cooking from dry storage, that has been a major help for us financially. And so, yeah, I do want to talk about that again. I should have mentioned it again here, especially because I've been getting more and more into freshly milled grains and milling my flour. So that I know would potentially have, it has a barrier to entry kind of into that aspect of cooking from scratch and buying in bulk. Like, that's like, how from scratch do you want to get? It's like, well, I make my own flour now too, you know? So it's just kind of crazy over here. But so there is a barrier to entry, of course, in the cost of a grain mill. And so I am trying to figure out, how could I do the math to show how quickly I recoup the costs of the food? Because you know, you purchase the grain mill, and I'm pretty sure when I purchased mine, it was like 200 and something. My electric grain mill that I use is a NutriMill Harvest. And they're more expensive now. Tip that does not help right now, because we're in July, is a lot of these mixers will typically go on sale around Mother's Day. But also Christmas, usually there are sales, and maybe the Black Friday sales. So look into it, possibly start saving now if this is something that appeals to you. I want to talk a lot more about the freshly milled flour on this channel specifically, because it is the vegan prepper channel, and because everything that I make is vegan, which means I'm not using milk, I'm not using eggs, I'm not using butter in my recipes. And it is kind of ridiculous to me because I'm in some freshly milled flour groups on Facebook, and I am also, you know, I watch a lot of videos, and I, you know, listen to Sue Becker's podcast on Spotify, and then I have her book right here. Is it right here? Yes, it is. Let me grab it. I'm gonna grab it for you. I have a prop. Okay, so it's the Essential Home Ground Flour book, and so this book has been really great. However, I'm having to adjust basically every single recipe, because it's like, this is supposed to be, and this is something that I am personally like in line with everything that I've talked about just so far, like with people really struggling financially and groceries and all of this, that like people are struggling financially, and honestly, you could save so much money switching to the freshly milled flour. Like, I have to figure out how to do the math on this, but it is so ridiculously cheap. Like recently, like, okay, you know what? I'm gonna look something up so that I can make sure that I'm telling you right. So I'm gonna pause really fast. I'm gonna come back with a price. Okay, I'm back. So I relatively recently purchased, where did it say? Oh, it was May 6th. On May 6th, I ordered a 50-pound bag of soft white wheat berries. Soft white wheat is like cakes, cookies, muffins, biscuits, things like that. Typically, and it's not necessarily a hard and fast rule on the soft white side as far as cakes, cookies, muffins, whatever. So typically the soft wheats, whether soft red or soft white, I don't know if I've ever even seen soft red, honestly, but the soft wheats are used for recipes that are leavened with things like baking soda and baking powder, versus the yeasted loaves, yeasted breads and items. Those require hard wheat or spelt. They need something that will produce a lot of gluten. The soft wheats don't produce a lot of gluten. And so you can't really use soft wheat to create a yeasted sandwich loaf, for instance, but you could theoretically use hard white wheat or hard red wheat to like make biscuits or muffins or cookies. They might just turn out a little bit different, maybe be a little tougher or whatever, but like the soft wheat is kind of specialized in that area, but the other one, you know, you can kind of interchange a bit. And so I can't even fathom how many cookies, muffins, banana breads, things I can make right now. But I just purchased on May 6th a 50-pound bag, 50 pounds of soft white wheat berries for organic soft white wheat berries, 50 pounds, $30.33. I'm trying to feel, do I even have the bag out still? It's gonna like show you a visual. It's 50 pounds. It's a huge amount of wheat. And I don't even know how long it's gonna take me to go through that. Like, it's just kind of ridiculous to me. Like, the more I get into it, that even going farther in the scratch made thing, being by grinding my own berries. Now, granted, I'm buying from Azure, which has great prices. And so other places, the prices are not nearly this good. But so far I've been happy with what I've gotten from them, and everything has been turning out great. But like, I can't even fathom how much food that 50 pounds of soft white wheat berries is going to make for my family. And it was only $30.33. Like, it's ridiculous. And so when I say that you can save money, I mean, like, you can save some money. So I need to figure out how to do some math on some of this stuff to sort of maybe justify that you could theoretically buy a mill and make some of that back pretty quickly if you're committed, like genuinely committed to doing this, because it's not necessarily the easiest thing on earth. There's definitely a learning curve with the soft white and all of that stuff. But what I was saying before, we're vegan, we don't have eggs and milk and stuff. So many of the people that make these recipes, especially Grains and Grit, like, I guess I'm in the middle of calling people out, even though I'm not calling her out. She's still a lovely person. She has a lot of great ideas and stuff. But the sheer amount of eggs and the sheer amount of oil that she uses in her recipes, I just shake my head. Even if I were not vegan, I would not want to make those recipes because I would be upset about utilizing so many expensive ingredients in something that's supposed to be something that's like saving me money. Like, I'm supposed to be saving money here, not throwing an entire dozen eggs into some brioche recipe so that it will taste less like fresh ground flour. That's the other thing. Stuff tastes a little bit different with the fresh ground flour. So anyway, I want to talk a lot more about these things. The more I experiment, the more ideas I get for videos that I can do to start really getting into the nitty-gritty of a lot of the stuff surrounding the freshly milled flours, how to make good products, and then, how to save money, because I'm doing it all vegan. So I'm not adding eggs, I'm not adding milk. I do add some oil to the recipes, but not nearly as much as other people. I very successfully adapted the muffin recipe in here to be vegan. And then the original muffin recipe that she has called for a half cup of milk or a half cup of oil. I've reduced it down to a quarter cup, and it makes usually right around 18 muffins every single time, the recipe that I have adapted. And I don't know, stuff just turns out great. So I really do want to talk about that. I want to talk about how people can help, or how people can do this, and so granted, I do definitely have an advantage because I stay home and I am a homemaker. And so that's what I do, even though I'm running businesses and I'm still taking care of kids. And then right now during summer, I am really busy because everyone's home. And so, but it's just different. I don't know. This is on my heart and this is on my mind. So this is probably what's going to be coming up a lot in future videos as freshly milled flour recipes, but also kind of focusing, like people have asked me to focus on, cooking from dry goods and all of that, to potentially try to give some relief to people. You don't have to start freshly milling your grains in order to see major savings. This is a relatively new thing for me, just in the last few years. And then only in the last year or so have I really dived into actually doing it. And what was funny is I was originally getting those grains from a prepping standpoint and ever really intending to make it so much a part of my entire personality. And I do all this stuff from freshly milled grains now, because the whole grain there's so many more options of what you can do with it. You can cook it up, like eat it like barley or rice. You can sprout it. You can turn it into wheatgrass, wheat specifically. You can do you can do so much with it. But you can also grind it and turn it into almost anything that you can think of, and turn it, when you have flour. And the great thing about it is a whole wheat flour goes rancid within only 6 months to a year, or maybe 2 years if you really push it. You can't store whole wheat flour for very long. White flour, all-purpose flour, is like a 20 to 30 year shelf life, possibly even longer, but that's because it's essentially a dead food. Like there's nothing left inside of it to go bad, and so it just stays good forever. Whereas you have things like beans and whole grains, like the wheat berries and things like that, they last anywhere from 50 to beyond years. Like you can, like, there's viable wheat, I think, that they have found like in Egyptian tombs. It's like 3,000 years old and it was still sprouting, you know. So it's like this stuff, it's something that stays good for a long time, but it's a living food. It's something that will provide nutrients and all of that. So that was the real reason that I began storing them up, was because I wanted a long-lasting food that was going to be incredibly nutritious. And I figured I'd cross the grinding bridge when I came to it. And boy, have I come to it, you know. And I did exactly what I, you know, this is all for, right? I dipped into my own stash to start trying to, you know, cut costs and save money, because while my grocery bills have not really gone up that much over the last couple years, I tell you what, every other bill has, you know. So the groceries staying the same and then reducing it even more and kind of dipping into my storage and learning how to use these things, and then utilizing some of what I already had on hand and now reordering. So like just now I reordered again that 50-pound bag of soft white wheat berries that was $30. You know, it's like, anyway, there's some potential here for people to save money and have some good health. And so, you know, you're saving money not because you're buying garbage. You're not buying like Maruchan ramen packets. You're saving money because you're purchasing something that has a huge amount of nutrition packed into it, and then this is still a really good food to feed your family. So anyway, that's a lot of, like, I'm getting passionate about it, and I really wanted to talk about it. But yeah, all that being said, I think I'm gonna go ahead and cut it off, and I gotta go actually make dinner right now. But tonight, I will say I was kind to myself and I planned in advance because I knew I wanted to sit with you and just like have a chat. I planned in advance tonight. We're just doing sandwiches and salad. So I'm gonna do a sandwich and salad bar. And so basically I'll just get some veggies cut up, and oh yeah, the buying in bulk and cooking from scratch, the big exception to that is produce, even though I do buy produce in bulk too sometimes when I can get a really good deal. But yeah, we'll cut up produce. I'm cutting up vegetables that can be either for salad or for sandwiches, or both, depending on how people feel. And then just having that, and that will be our dinner. And everybody kind of build their own, and that's what it's going to be. And basically all I have to do is chop stuff, and so that's not too much, and I'm looking forward to that. So it's gonna be a really easy meal. I don't have a lot of work to do for that. And so yeah, sometimes it's good to just have a meal like that. Also, it's summer. Did I mention I was like, I'm not gonna get dramatic about the summer. I can't help it. Okay, I live here. I would lose my Arizona card if I didn't get at least a little dramatic about the summer, y'all. And so yeah, it's summer. I don't want to go near anything that reminds me of heat. So I'm not turning on the stove. I'm not turning on the oven. Weird, because I had to go shopping today is really what the problem. I didn't get to stay inside all day in the AC. I had to go shopping today, and it was like 110 degrees. And so it was not my favorite. And we're still preheating. It's still going to get hotter. Yeah. Anyway. All right, that's it. I'm going to stop talking about it by turning off the video. So as always, I hope the rest of your day is good and your life stays wonderful. See you guys in the next one. Bye.